Next up, our agenda. We're going to introduce the project team here in just a minute. Then we're going to do a project overview, talk a little bit about what to expect in the coming months as we keep going with the project, talking about the schedule. And then, like I said, we'll go through any questions we have and then refresh everyone's memory of our contact information because we're always happy to answer any questions.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Yep, good evening. My name is Stephen Scott. I am the project manager for Charlotte Water in this project. This is a design build project. So our engineer and construction firm are partnered together. We have Ropes Construction and AECOM working on the project. So just a list of some of the key folks working on the project. So with Probes, we've got Brandon Hill, Jason Barnes, and Jeremy Louder out in the field really leading the effort here. And for our design team, we've got Philip Diekman, Preston Johnson, and our environmental lead with AECOM, Chris Rocco. So just an overview of this project, which many of you have likely seen before. This is phase 3 of the Davidson transmission main. Previously completed were phases 1 and 2, which ended at South Main and Walnut Streets, which is where this project picks up. So the project for phase 3 is really split into 2 areas. We've got the Mecklenburg County portion and the Iredell County portion. The Mecklenburg portion shown here on the left side of the screen in blue begins there at South Main and Walnut, continues up Potts, Sloan, and Beatty Street, and then on to Shearer. And the Iredell portion begins at Shearer, running just behind the railroad tracks along 115, ending at the Davidson Point neighborhood. So an overview of this project: we began construction down just south of the town in November. That's where our equipment was dropped off, and we kicked off operations. The overall goal for why we're building this is providing this new large diameter water main to help alleviate some of the pressure fluctuations we were having on the west side of town. There was a lower level of service in that area. Additionally, with this water main, we'll be able to enhance our fire protection and backbone in that area of town. And then we have just a further definition of how we're routing around the west side of Davidson. So as I mentioned earlier, our Iredell County portion of the project is planned to end here at Davidson Point. For this area, this particular neighborhood that is in Iredell County but located within the town limits of Davidson, we currently own and operate the sewer system in the neighborhood. The water system is currently private. So our plan is to extend the water main to the neighborhood and provide Charlotte Water services to the residents here. So as part of that, we've been conducting a field investigation and customer status assessment on the sort of the periphery of this construction project, but it is included. So as I mentioned, this field investigation and part of the work we're doing, some of you may have seen us out in the neighborhood walking, mainly walking around, not doing very invasive work at this point. We're really just on the ground level doing some surface work, measuring and confirming information of what we've got and what's out there in the neighborhood. But upcoming in the future, as we move forward with the connection, there will be some soft digs in the neighborhood to help expose and uncover some of the buried infrastructure that exists in the neighborhood. We've already gone through and done a check on the valves, opened them and closed them to check their functionality. So just some limited work in the area of foot traffic for now, but in the future there will be some construction work to take place in the neighborhood. And again, the work we're doing, no water outages are anticipated in the neighborhood. Really just investigation work prior to the takeover of the system. So in addition to that field work, we're performing an administrative task, which we're calling this customer status assessment. So I noted before that we currently own and maintain the sewer system in the neighborhood, and many Davidson Point residents are Charlotte Water customers. In order To bring those customers as water customers, what we'd like to do is update and verify our customer information to make sure that the information we have is up to date. That's one piece of it. A second piece of this customer status assessment is to get folks who are currently not being billed for sewer, to get them signed up so that transition to water and sewer combined billing will be much smoother. So we're working on that. I would say stay tuned for mailers. All of the work in Davidson Point will be communicated, looping in the HOA, and as well as providing mailers in the mailboxes of residents there. So back to phase 3 of the project in its entirety. We've completed design, and we've moved into construction. So a little background for those who haven't been able to make it up to this point for how we got here. But we put together a preliminary engineering report detailing the need for this project and how it was going to be designed. We then moved forward with our survey site investigations through that area in the western side of Davidson, completed our design, went through permitting, acquired a few easements. I know we're mostly in the road, as folks have seen, but we did acquire a few private easements to be able to construct this water line. And just after that, we got our construction cost and schedule and pushed forward. So this is moving into construction, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it over to our construction leader, Brandon Hill with Probst.
Thank you, Stephen. Again, I'm Brandon Hill with Probst Construction. I'm the project manager for the project. I wanted to catch everybody up on kind of what's been done and what we're looking forward to doing as we go forward for the next several months into next year. Currently, as we start our project, we worked on doing asbestos remediation. Currently, we've finished all of that. Don't anticipate anymore, but one of the first steps we had to do to make everything safe for everybody. We started with 2 crews, one at Beatty Street and Shearer working towards Griffith, and one working at the church, Davidson UMC behind it, to work at the bore and work from Gamble, Sloan, Pot Street over to Griffith Street also. That portion, we have gotten the water line in the ground now. Beatty Street, we're still installing pipe on it, working towards Griffith Street. We were trying to keep 2 crews, sometimes 3, trying to keep up with both the cleanup, installation, and to progress the project as fast as we could, because we know it's important to everybody to try to get out of the way. Currently, though, water lines installed on Sloan Street up to Griffith Street, which includes Gamble and Potts. That's 24-inch main, plus some ancillary lines we had to do with at Gamble and Sloan, also with the 6-inch water line and 8-inch sewer. Beatty Street still in progress. NC 115, we will be crossing it next week, July 16th through 18th. Hopefully we'll be able to complete the cross on that. We'll still have cleanup to do, or the final, I'm gonna call it the final work we'll have to do for NCDOT approval on NC 115, but hopefully the following weekend we'll work on it. So in that time frame, you will be looking at some detours for that area that'll work around I-77 and help get everybody through. Local traffic shouldn't have much problem other than right at Walnut Street and 115. That's a very tight area, very important area. It's one of the main things we have to do to help test this water line, to get it, be able to do the testing on it and get it up to speed where we need to be. As also help us on cleanup, final up a little later for it. With hope for finishing a project in the spring and fall of next year. Upcoming, as we've been working on Beatty Street and Sloan, we're starting to get a lot of that pipe in the ground. Iredale and the portion running north to Bridges Farm is coming up. We anticipate over the next couple of weeks of getting pipe in. We've got 16 and 12-inch pipe ordered to put the portion from Shearer Street going to Bridges Farm, which is predominantly 16-inch, and the 12-inch that runs along Bridges Farm Road that goes to Davidson Point. That pipe is, portion of it scheduled to be delivered next week, and ongoing for the next several months. We'll have different loads coming in for it as we progress with the work. Construction, we're hoping to begin in a couple of weeks at Shearer Street, working on the water and sewer that we have to do there. Of course, there'll be some coordination we'll need to do with the residents, because that is a tight area to work in. That will be coming up starting probably in about 2 weeks. And as we proceed from there, we will work that section. I may have a second crew also working doing the water line, the bores under P&G and the gas lines, which also includes, I believe, I can't think of the other company, but anyway, we've got the bores for it. But that is anticipated to start in the next couple of weeks as we start moving towards it and getting pipe in. Some things to expect. Shear Street touched on it. We'll have to coordinate with the property on it. It is a tight area. I'm not gonna call it a road closure because there's no detour or no way out, but it will be tight access, and we'll have to help coordinate people as far as getting them in and out while we're doing sewer and the water also both in that area. And this will be to protect everybody, both our workers and the public also. Bridges Farm, there will be lane closures at different times with flagmen, just because we're working right next to the roadway. Shouldn't be too much of an inconvenience, but do anticipate seeing that, especially probably some next week, limited with pipe coming in as we're starting to get pipe installed. We'll have flagmen there also. Do not anticipate a whole lot of impact to private property since everything is on the right of way or next to the railroad for this portion of the project. No water disruption is anticipated either, not from the connection we'll do at Davidson Point or for the work we have to do, since this is a predominant transmission main with a tap and sleeve valve that goes in. So should be straightforward. If there is anything, we'll make sure to coordinate and give everybody plenty of advance notice. Probably see silt fence go up, some check dams too. We want to make sure we keep up erosion controls. We do not want anything hampering both the environment or the streams or the wetlands. So you'll probably see a good bit of silt fence go up over the next several weeks to the next end of this month also. Some things to expect over the next while as we're working. Of course, NC 115, I touched on it. That's a major crossing that we have to do to connect the main and get our water source to be able to test it. It will be a long weekend for us. Hopefully we have minimum impact, even though I know it's going to be disruptive from having a detour on Main Street, but we're going to work around the clock to try to get that done through that weekend and get open back up for the following week is the plan for now. We do anticipate doing that. It's important to the whole overall project because once I can get that water source, I can start doing testing on the sections that's at Beatty Street, Sloan, and Gamble. Because once we can get a test off, we can hopefully start on some of the final cleanup. And I like to be anticipate doing that this fall. Some of it may go into next spring as we finish up too, but anticipate trying to get as much of that done, a test off, so we can start rebuilding the roads and get everything looking good and riding good again. Midway Lake Road may see some probably in the next few months. My anticipation is about 2-3 months. May have a little bit of flagging on it just for when we have a bore on the railroad, Mid Lake Road for a future stub out. Should be minimal impact, but could see some flagging there. Beatty Street will be ongoing for the next couple of weeks to a month as we work towards Griffith Street. Plus, as we get the water source for us, it's getting tested. We'll also want to start trying to do cleanup later on also. So Beatty Street and Sloan will be ongoing, off and on at different times as we go through the rest of the year and into the next spring. Same thing for Shear Street, much as the same as Sloan is. Bridges Farm, there'll be flagging operations on it, especially as we're installing a water line. There'll be daily flagging operations on it that will to help get everybody through. Shouldn't be too much impact, but I would anticipate it. Asbestos, just kind of catching up on it. As of today, we do not have any or anticipate seeing any more asbestos. Has been one of our main safety concerns. Number one, to make sure that we do not affect the public or have any issues with ourselves also. So we have made sure to have a good plan together for it, make sure professionals handle it. We also have an excellent team to help us with environmental, that our plan was good and that we have sampled and tested and make sure that we're doing everything like we should. As of today, it's all been hauled off. We've made sure to keep all the protocols in place for our safety in both community. Ongoing, even though we have, after all the testing we've done and all the work we've done, we do not anticipate seeing any more, but even with that, we will have, with AECOM's help, their team of professionals with us also, just to check in, just to keep an eye on things to make sure that we don't find anything else. The hope is we don't see any more, but we're going to make sure we keep our eyes out and keep looking forward. Additionally, too, as we're doing the cleanup and installing erosion control, we will have that to make sure we protect the wetlands, the streams, and any runoff that may come. So we'll continue to have that portions. And now I believe I will turn it back over to Stephen.
Yep, I appreciate it. So I'm going to go through some of the next steps, what you can expect from our communication folks. We've continued coordination with Town of Davidson representatives. They've been involved. You know, key folks like Jamie and Doug have stayed up to date on the project. We're still providing some updates through Nextdoor, our project website, as well as I mentioned earlier, physical mailers that will be going out to the community. We'll continue to have our public meetings. I'm not gonna say I'm certain, but this may be our last primarily virtual meeting. We may go back to in-person meetings like we did at the very beginning of the project, if some of you folks remember that. So if you want to find out any more updates or information about the project that we've posted previously, feel free to go to the project website. It's listed there at charlottewater.org, and then follow the link to active projects and then Davidson Phase 3. So our schedule, I know folks are really wondering when this is going to wrap up. So we're getting there. Like I said, we started construction there in the fall last year in November, and we're moving forward with the Mecklenburg side. We're calling Main Street to Beatty. Should be wrapping up in this fall. We anticipate that wrapping up then. And the majority of the Iredell portion starting this fall and running into the spring. So that connection to Davidson Point is on schedule for the spring of next year. That would be 22. And commissioning of the water main in general will be at that same time, at the completion of the project next spring. And if you have any questions, as Katie mentioned before, there's a Q&A box or a chat box. Is that right, Katie?
Yes, this is a great time to go ahead and enter your questions into the Q&A box. We'll just wait a minute or two and see if anyone has any questions. It looks like we did receive one question so far. Did I hear correctly that the south part of Beatty close to Griffith is expected to be completed in 2 to 4 weeks?
Yeah, I'm going to turn that over to Brandon, and maybe you could clarify the portion of Beatty again.
Yeah, Beatty installation of water line. We hope within, say, the end of this month that we have the water line installed. I wouldn't call it complete just because we'll have to get 115 crossed in the water source and begin testing. And we can't finalize any of the final cleanup. It will be traffic. We may not see anybody on the roadway working at the time or not in that area once the water line's in, but we'll still have going into the fall and possibly a little bit of spring. We'll still have going into fall final cleanup, which would include things such as paving, curb and gutter, seeding and sowing. Hopefully all the water line will be done in a few weeks and that part be out of the way, but there will be additional cleanup going on into the fall.
And Brandon, while you're on that topic, there was also a question asking about no water disruption expected. Is that right? I think it's in relation to the area you were just talking about.
That is correct. Ben, this is a transmission main and not necessarily tied to any of the connections we got, whether Davidson Point or others. And all of the current connections we have do not affect water outages right now, whether it's via tap and sleeving valves or other methods, but not anything anticipated at the moment.
Okay, it looks like we have a few more questions that have come in. This is perfect. Does that mean Bridges Farm Road will be disrupted for 6 months?
I can answer that. I'm going to disrupt it. It won't be closed. It won't be closed. I can allow Brandon to talk more about a lane closure or possible lane droppage, but I guess we're just on the inside of the pavement. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, we'll be working on the, as you're going into Bridges Farm, going into Davidson Point, we'll be working on the left-hand side of the shoulder. So we'll have equipment right next to it for safety purposes. We'll have flagmen at both ends. So it will be disruptive. It will not be shut down and everybody will still be able to move. Maybe just not quite as freely as me not being there, but everybody still be able to move, just be flagmen, and they'll help moderate things to keep everybody safe and keep us safe also.
Great, thank you. The next question that's come in is the bore under Griffith complete?
Yes. Yes, it is.
So the next question, what official papers that allow going into Iredell County have been signed by whom, when, and where are they available?
I mean, as far as official papers to get into Iredell County, we were able to establish an easement into Iredell County, and to back up, I guess some other questions. We're extending that extension to Davidson Point was the request of the town to connect that neighborhood. That neighborhood is within town limits, but we do have to cross county boundary to get there. And I mean, it was the request of the town. I don't really, as far as official paperwork, I don't know if we have something. I'm not sure what there would be.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. It looks like the last question we have at this time, will you be providing service to Presbyterian Road? If not, why not?
I need to look on a map to verify. I believe Presbyterian Road is, and maybe other folks can chime in. Is it south of Midway Lake? I don't have a map readily available.
It is south of Midway Lake.
Okay. At this time, the only connection, well, I'd say connection, the only area we'd be working or planning to work on the east side of Highway 115 is the stub out that Brandon mentioned at Midway Lake. If there is a connection to Presbyterian Road, it would not be associated with this project.
Great, and it looks like there's some clarification that, yeah, Presbyterian Road is future Mooresville.
Okay, so a no.
Great. So I think that's all of the questions at this time. I'll maybe give another minute or so in case anyone has anything else to jump in. Stephen, I don't know if you want to finish the last slide or two, and if another question comes about, we can address that.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to reiterate, you know, this is me. This is my contact information, phone and email. If this posting will be recorded and posted to the project website, but if anyone here has any additional questions, feel free to reach out. That's my contact info is there, and I'll be available, and I'll do my best to answer. So just to reiterate a couple of things that are going to be highlighted in the very near future is that closure of NC 115. It will be fairly significant. Although a short duration, it is very impactful, being closed down next weekend. So 16th through the 18th, we'll have traffic detours posted. I just want to make sure everyone is aware. But again, if you have future questions about the project or something you think of later, feel free to drop me a note or drop me a line, and I'll do my best to address it.
Great. Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, it looks like there aren't any other questions. So I guess at this time, we'll just close out the meeting. We really appreciate everyone taking the time in their evening. I know everyone's very busy and there's a lot going on in the summer. So thanks for your participation. And like Stephen mentioned, we're always open to answering questions, and you can always reach out to him. So thanks again, and have a good night.
All right, thank you.